Hey guys, so today I want to talk about song arrangement and song length. Now, I'm not just talking about the instrumentation of a song, but I want to talk about how the overall package, the length of a song, can affect the listener's impression. So before we talk about music, let's talk about movies. Now, I think we would all agree that a good movie is engaging, and that the length of a movie has very little to do with whether or not a movie is actually good. You might have a short and sweet movie that's only about an hour and a half long or less, but that doesn't automatically guarantee that the movie is going to be enjoyable. That hour and a half could feel like 3 hours if the pacing is terrible, and if you just don't care about what's happening in the story and you're just waiting for the movie to be over, that's going to be a long hour and a half. On the flip side, you can have a very lengthy movie, but if the story is engaging and it's very interesting and you want to see what happens next, that length can be dragged out. And it doesn't really matter how long it is, so long as you are engaged and want to see what happens next. So let's carry this back over to music. Basically, people have different opinions of how long songs should be, but the main thing is, it doesn't actually matter how long your song is. What matters is how engaging your song is, or how enjoyable it actually is to listen to. They say that the sweet spot is that 3 to 4 minute range, which I am a fan of that range, but just because your song falls in line with that sweet spot doesn't automatically mean it's going to be a good song. At the end of this, I'm going to talk more about song length and my opinion of that, but right now I want to talk about pacing and engagement. So I've got this example here. Back in 2012, I put out my first album, which was called Life in a Nutshell. It was kind of a piano, acoustic guitar, pop kind of thing. I really like a lot of these song ideas I had back then, but listening to it now, I don't quite think they were executed perfectly. And that's sort of what I want to do today. I want to look at one of the songs I wrote and sort of talk about some of the changes I would make now that I have a bit more experience with music and song arrangement and things like that. So this is a song from the album called What Happened to Love. For some reason back then, I was not very good at writing short songs. This song, as much as I love it, it's 5.5 minutes long. If it was like progressive metal and the riffs were kind of changing, maybe it'd be a different story, but this is sort of a pop song. Like if you just heard a little bit, you might think, wow, I really like the way that sounds. I want to hear the rest of that song. But when you go to actually listen to the whole song, it's a bit exhausting just because it takes a long time for the parts to change. So let's go ahead and have a look at the edits I made. So here's how the song starts. Right off the bat, the first thing you notice is there's like almost 2 seconds before the song even starts. There's no need for that, so you can buy yourself a little bit of time by scooting that closer. So the new version starts off almost right when you hit play. Bam, just like that, Okay? Now, I wrote that melody, that little piano intro, and at the time it felt right to do it twice, but now listening to it, I feel like it's a bit long. So I pretty much cut that in half. You can see I've got a fade here. So it's just happening once now. Let's have a listen to that. It was a long time ago. Bam, no delay. We're right into the song. It sounds good. Right off the bat, we're just engaging our listener. Now, I'm not saying every intro has to be that short. If there was more instrumentation, there are certain things you can do. I'm not talking about length so much as I am talking about engagement. All right, so I have this sort of pre-chorus that goes into the chorus. Let's have a listen to that. What happened to us? What happened to love? It's been a while, but I need you to come back. If this was just a piano and vocal song, that sounds fine, but because I had the plan to have the band come in later, it's just way too long of a section for that kind of arrangement. For some reason back then, I always wrote like so many sections. I wrote a verse, a pre-chorus, a chorus, and a post-chorus. It's like a little transition out of the chorus back into the verse. And if you include the intro, that's a lot of sections. And you really need those to be short because otherwise they're going to add up and you're going to get a really long song. It was kind of difficult the way I wrote this. There's not much way to cut out, the pre-chorus and just go right to the chorus. and the chorus sort of sounds empty without that final tagline from the post-chorus. So I ended up just cutting the first chorus out, and you'll hear that it goes right into the intro with the full band this time, and then goes into the next verse. I actually think it's kind of cool. You kind of get like that tagline, what happened to us, what happened to love, and then bam, like the band kicks in. So it's more engaging. Let's have a listen.
What happened to us? What happened to love?
One thing I want to point out about that, I don't know about you, to me, that section, as soon as that snare hits, pop, boom, and it goes right in, that's like a ooh section for me. And what I mean by that is you hear that, it's like, ooh, you know, like something changed and it was interesting. And you might have a section like that has that ooh effect, but again, the original arrangement, that ooh effect didn't happen until 2 minutes in the song. So I'm basically hoping that the listener is going to listen to those 2 minutes just to get to the ooh effect. So if you can have those oohs happen sooner, that's going to keep your listener engaged, and they'll want to hear what happens next. So moving on, from this point, it pretty much plays out, and then it's kind of cool because we get to that tagline again, what happened to us, what happened to love, and then bam, we finally get the chorus, and instead of just being kind of alone with the piano and vocal, you have like the full band support with it.
What happened to love? It's been a while, but I need you to come back.
And you have to remember, this is the first time the listener will be hearing the chorus. So in the original version, they've already heard the chorus with just a piano, and then the difference is that the second time they're hearing it with the band. But now, just saving it for just the band, it sort of becomes special. I feel like that's where the resolve comes. You know, this whole time we're sort of building tension, and then there's some resolve by finally hearing this chorus that just kind of expresses the point of the song or whatever. So most of it plays out. I liked how the song transitions into the bridge and stuff. The tricky part here was figuring out how to get into the last chorus. Now, I will say this. All I'm doing right now is just edits, just cuts and crossfades. That's it. If I were to actually go back and redo this song, I might rewrite some things to try to get it to work out smoothly. Because in the original version, there are certain things I like. So for example, at the end of the bridge, there's this kind of cool, like, very chill, like, snare roll section. Let me see if I can find it. So this is the end of the bridge, and then we go back into the pre-chorus, but it's sort of different than the way we've heard it before. So here's what that sounds like.
Too much to say goodbye. Stay with me. What happened to love? It's been a while.
So again, I like that idea, and even listening to it now, like when it first starts, I'm like, ooh, that's really cool. Again, ooh, there's that ooh again. But it is a little lengthy, and with just cutting, I just couldn't figure out a way to fit that in there, so I ended up cutting it out. If I were able to rewrite this, I'd probably try to find some way to incorporate that. Heck, maybe I would do that for the first pre-chorus or something, you know, I don't know. You know, I'd find some way to get that in there. It's actually kind of an interesting transition. So at the end here, I say, stay with me.
Stay with me.
And then we go to the pre-chorus. But the way I did the edit is that I kind of say the stay with me and have it build up, and then we go back into the chorus right away instead of that pre-chorus. So it's not perfect because it's an edit, but try to imagine this if it were actually composed this way and a little bit smoother, and it actually sounds pretty cool. And then it just kind of makes that last chorus feel pretty big and powerful. And with that in mind, if I were to rewrite this, I might do something to make the first chorus, which again is happening with the full band, I might make it to where it holds back just a little bit. It's a full band, but just not full-on aggressive, and then make this last one really big and powerful somehow. And then we get to the ending, and honestly, what I've done already, those big cuts, have shortened the song quite a bit, but I wanted to push this as far as I could. The original ending, I actually really like what happens here. You've got the band finishing off with the chorus, and then again there's that post-chorus, that kind of tagline, so please come back to me, I miss you dearly, and I have the song finish with the piano.
So please come back to me. I miss you dearly.
If I were to actually rewrite this song, somehow I would try to keep that in there. But for the sake of this video, I kind of had a goal. I really wanted to see how much I could shorten this song. So for the ending, we have that final chorus, but instead of the tagline, I cut that out, and then you can see I've got all these kind of weird fades here to sort of simulate like that note just sort of sustaining. And it kind of works. It's kind of cool, and you sort of get this glitchy guitar effect. Have a listen. That's a potential way to end it, but again, I think I'd still try to fit in that piano ending if I could. So anyway, if we have a look at the finished product, what we've done here, the original song was about 5.5 minutes long. The new edited version is just under 4 minutes long. We cut off 1.5 minutes. That's a big difference. And I think a song like this would really benefit from being shorter. And let me talk about why. So one of my favorite bands is Between the Buried and Me. And if you know about that band, their average song is like 8 minutes long. Some longer, some shorter, some way longer. They've got a song that's like 17 minutes long. Pretty ridiculous, but it's very engaging 17 minutes. The reason a band like that can get away with such long songs is because their music is progressive. And what I mean by that is they don't follow the traditional verse, chorus arrangement. They sort of tell like a story with their music. It's almost like listening to a movie. Things are always changing, and the vibe of the song is always changing. So it's not, I don't know, it's not this constant tone throughout. It varies in degrees, and so it's very interesting to listen to. However, I will say, as much as I love Between the Buried and Me, I have to sort of specifically choose when I want to listen to their music. You know, if I'm driving somewhere and it's like a 15-minute drive, I'm only going to have time to listen to 2 Between the Buried and Me songs. Whereas regular music, I could listen to 4 or 5 songs in that time. And also, I can't say that I often replay Between the Buried and Me songs. You know, I don't listen to a song and say, man, that was awesome, I'm going to play it again. For me, I like songs where they leave you wanting more. So right when the song's over, you're like, man, that was good, I want to hit that play button again. That 3 to 4 minute range is a pretty good spot to do that. That's kind of my opinion, and that's sort of where I sort of try to shoot for with my own songs. But again, the point of this video is not to say that your songs have to be short. The point is, just make sure your songs are engaging. If you want to write really long, epic songs, it better be really engaging. If your song is really long and not much is changing, you might want to try to rearrange it so that it is shorter. Anyway, I hope this was fairly interesting to you guys. I thought it was kind of fun to go back and look at one of my old songs and just sort of cut it up and see if I could, just by tweaking the arrangement, if I could make it more interesting. So I'm going to have links so you can listen to these songs. Leave a comment and let me know, do you find the edited version to be more engaging than the original? Or maybe you disagree. Maybe you think the original is nice because you like the music and you like having more time to sort of spend in that vibe and that tone of the song. So leave a comment in the comment sections below. I hope this was helpful to you. Until next time.